All right, we are live. We are live. Everybody, welcome back to your favorite podcast with your favorite family. Family Talk, let's discuss it. It's your boy B.
Chef Jimbo.
Coach A.
And we got Patrick. And you know Drip in the house as well. We're gonna dig
Yes,
into a little
sir.
bit. Yes, sir, yes, sir. We're gonna dig into a little bit of some parenting. Some parenting. We'll dig into a little bit of parenting and see everybody and their suggestions on how they deal with their children. We're gonna also dig into loaning people money. So we got to talk about that bag a little bit, loaning people money, and we'll roll into that open forum. We'll be back with y'all in a couple of seconds.
Tell them I ain't mad if they ain't know. You know I ain't mad if you love it. Ain't nobody ever take this moment from me. So nigga, while I got it, the fuck it, it's all good. It's all good. Straight up, it's all good. Tell them it's all good. Tell them I ain't mad if they ain't know. You know I ain't mad if you love it. Ain't nobody ever take this moment from me. So nigga, while I got it, the fuck it, it's all good.
Good morning, good morning. First off, before we get started, fellas, man, how y'all doing, man?
Good.
Man, we got Coach A fresh off a foot injury. I mean, not foot injury, a foot surgery. So he finna come back like LeBron James here pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. So y'all want to
Don't
test
say
that
that.
foot, y'all
It's gonna
y'all
be longer than that, man.
y'all. Well, I try to put a number on it. You ain't never tell us when you was going.
Oh
When
man,
you
it's gonna be
gonna be
like
back.
6 months.
Oh, 6 months. Y'all
Yeah,
catch Coach A on the basketball court in about 6 months, and let's
exactly.
test that foot out, man. But yeah, I just wanted to see how y'all fellas was doing real quick. We missing Nick and Nate today. Nick had caught a little sickness today, so y'all keep my brother in your prayers.
He owed one of y'all money. That's what it is.
That we was talking about money, and all of a sudden they both disappear. But nah, real talk. Get well, Nick. Nick said he'll be in the comments. But let's
Yes,
jump right
sir.
in. Let's jump right into it, man. Let's talk about parenting a little bit today. And I want to see everybody's, or not see, but I want to hear everybody's opinion on how they handle their children. And what I mean by handle their children is there certain ages that you allow your children to do things. Drip, I know your daughter just had a birthday here recently,
Yeah.
so happy birthday to her. But is there certain ages y'all let your children do things? What I mean by do things is certain ages your children should have phones. Is certain ages you let them go out and do things by themselves. What's y'all perspective on the friend slash parent thing? Let me hear a little bit. I know Coach A got some children. Let me hear a little bit about how you handle your children coming up, Coach.
Well, I was real strict with mine. Of course, we didn't have the whole cell phone thing going when my kids was younger. So my youngest is getting ready to be 19 now. So,
Gotcha.
but coming up, I wasn't. It wasn't no friends, and it was just we was just doing it how we was raised. You
Morning,
know, I was
Auntie.
I was your dad, not your friend. So you had to address me, with certain respect. And if I told you something, I didn't expect to have to tell you twice. Only one
Right,
time. And that was really like a pet peeve of mine. Like when you tell me you hungry or something, you ain't got to ask me 3 or 4 times. I get you, make sure you have food, get you something to eat. So then if I
right.
ask you to do something, it should be the same respect. You know, but that was it. I had to lay the hammer down when I need to, for sure.
Right, right.
You know.
So,
But I
so it's
will tell you, this though. One of my things that, and I don't, and looking back, it might not be as good as I thought it was. But one of the things that I deliberately did was, make my kids think I was crazy sometimes. You know, for real, it was like a technique of mine, make them think like I would be, get real big. Like, what are you doing? If they did something, real bad, to make them think like, hey, my dad is gonna knock me out or something
right,
if
right,
I would
right,
get right. So
right.
it was
Yeah,
just a strategy. That's all I knew to protect them. Sometimes when you get in that real world, things that happen to you if you don't, if you ain't right.
right. Right. So with that being said, Drip, like I said, I know your daughter just had a birthday. Like I said, happy birthday to her again. What's your perspective on how you handle your children?
Um, Mine's is similar to Coach A's. I mean, we close in age, so we was raised in that era. You
Right, right.
know, like I came up in the era where we had actual phones. You had one
Hmm.
on the wall, and you could only go
Yeah.
that far. So the cell phone thing, with my daughter, her birthday was Thursday, just
Uh,
turned 12, and she always want an iPhone. I want an iPhone, and I'm like, you don't need an iPhone for what? Like,
and that,
I'm like, who you
and that's one
trying
of
to
the
talk to?
right. That's one of the questions I want to get out. Like, is there a specific age that where children should start having phones? I know when we started having phones, it was about 15, 16. Our mother went out and got us phones. So, with your daughter asking you about having a phone and you saying no, what runs through your mind when she start asking questions like that?
Well, I'm looking like, why do you need a phone? Because you either with me or you either with your mom, and we got a phone. So who you trying
Yeah,
to talk to?
yeah,
Like you trying to talk to your little buddies. I'm like, you see them in school. So you see them 5 days a week for
yeah.
6, 7 hours. What is
Uh,
there that's changed from then and now that y'all got to chat about? But I broke down and got an iPhone 4.
Ah.
you know,
that's
that's
what
the
I was getting at.
compromise. Yeah,
Uh,
that's the compromise. Because she was like, I want an iPhone 11. I'm like, well, do you got $1,000? So you need to know where you get money from. Because
uh,
unless we gonna eat and sleep in that iPhone, you ain't getting no 11. So I broke down and got a 4.
she she
You
probably
know,
wanted the 4 in the first place.
oh man,
Like she was just testing to see if she could get
Got
the
him.
11, but she
Got
really
him.
wanted the phone. Hey man,
but
that's
no, she
cool.
didn't ask for the 4. But
Oh, she did.
I saw the 4. Somebody was selling one. I was like, I'll get it. It was $25. I was like, I'll get it.
Damn,
And then
that's
when
all
it
she asked for
came,
was a phone.
that joke about the size of I'm like a calculator. I was like, oh no. So I started looking at 5s and 6 because I'm like, I can't do it like this. And so I'm like, oh, but that's my girl. She the only girl though, man. So,
Yeah, how many
I'm
kids you got,
like,
Drill?
oh,
How many kids you
man,
got?
look, man, I got 4, right? I got
Gotcha.
4. And
Uh,
because I wind up adopting my nephew. So I got
okay,
4
okay,
kids. Um,
okay. Bet.
3 boys, 1 girl. She the only girl. So you know how that goes. She the princess around here.
Right,
And
right,
dad
right. I
try to
got you.
put on the mean strict face, but all along I'm like plotting on what I'm gonna get it for, but I'm like I'm gonna tell her no, but I'm like I'm gonna get it for her, and I don't know, man. It's with the kid with her it's more it's different because she the girl. It's
I was
like
gonna say that. Is it different between your girl and your boys? Is it a different way of how you approach certain situations with your girl and your boys?
yeah, because for me it's like being a male myself.
Hmm.
I know what the boys are thinking already before they think. It's like I've encountered all the situations that they're doing now. I've been through myself. Like I can look at my boys and I'm looking like I know what you're thinking, and that ain't a good
Yeah.
idea. So don't even
Right.
try it because I've been there. And you watching boys, like I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna kill themselves because they doing
Uh,
stuff, and I'm like, that's not gonna turn out right. And
boys
I'm
gonna be
like,
boys.
watch he gonna fall. Boys are going, but with my girl, it's a little bit like I don't have any experience being a woman or
Right.
a girl or like what she's going through and what she's thinking and it's like I need to recruit somebody to help me with this and it's like
Yeah.
because when she was little, it was cool. You know, it was Barbie dolls and
Oh yeah.
you know stuff like that, tea parties and stuff like. Okay, I can do that, but then she's 12 now, so it's like the changeover. It's like, oh my God,
Yep.
she's talking about hair. She's talking about you know getting her
Makeup.
getting nails done.
Yeah.
That transition started
Yeah.
to happen. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just had it's
Now
funny because we
she's
just had this discussion too, my wife, because you know we got one on the way, so we got to start. You know, with me it's starting all over again. So we just had
Yeah.
the same
man, you
discussion
crazy.
yesterday. What age? That's what we here for, man. That's my
No,
that's my
dog, I can't
contribution.
hit
Putting
the.
good kids,
I,
putting good kids
I
into the world.
contributed 3. That's it,
See?
man. I can't keep hitting the reset button.
Oh, I didn't. You talk about hit the reset button. I didn't went and reloaded and everything. More
I
than just
feel
the
you,
reset
man.
button. But
I,
there's a lot of factors involved too. You gotta, you know, because my kids was mature. You know, certain kids you can't trust them. You can't leave them by themselves. You can't. I've met some kids like that. I like your kids. How you get your kids like that? Like I remember this lady I was working with. She had 2 little boys. They was like 5 and 6, right? And she was just, you know, I don't have no babysitter, and you know, I just can't do this. So, you know, I was like, well, all right, well, we'll watch the kids for you one time. You let you go out. Man, them 2 little boys was bad as heck. They was going in the refrigerator, like they was all over the place. And you know, we're doing the Christian nice thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like never like how you let your kids get like they don't listen and nothing. Like what?
Yeah.
Hey, you
not
gotta
good,
pull out
man.
the strap.
But my kids wasn't like that. You know, my kids, they was respectful. They, you know, they mind they matter. So they, you know, they was a lot easier. In fact, you know, because at the time I had, you know, 3 girls, and my oldest, when she reached 10, she was babysitting the 2 younger ones.
Yeah.
You know, because she was just that. You know, that's how we stayed on them. But
Yeah.
not that they didn't get in trouble. You know, they, you know, I came home one time and the whole freaking oven glass was broke.
Oh my God.
They in there,
oh
they in
goodness.
there throwing marbles and stuff. I'm like, what?
Oh,
But-
my
Tight.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's a
but
new
yeah,
oven.
but you know, the grades. You know, I tend, when it comes to cell phones and stuff like that. Now my view is, you know, I need to see how mature are they. Obviously, I'm thinking middle school is a good age for it, but how mature are your grades? Good? Are you trustworthy? You know these things that we can kind of gauge as they're growing up. You know that where your kid is, and you be like, no, if I get this dude a cell phone, it's over. I'm gonna have to check it every night.
So
He already trying to watch. He already trying to stay up late watching BET or something. No.
BET after hours.
Exactly. I'm like, boy, no, you ain't getting nothing.
so me and Sam just got Elijah on the phone, and that's what just what Coach Shay just said. We all watching everything that he do. He got a certain time for FaceTime. It's kind of exhausting, to be honest with you. It's I mean, he got his phone got to be in the room before he go to bed and all that type job. So I get that. Nick talking about something. Did they get whooped for the broken glass? Nah, he was being a Christian, so he ain't get no type of whooping.
No, Christians whoop more than anybody else.
But
You
see,
talking about-
gotta show that rod every once in a while.
Exactly. We all read that
That's what
scripture
I'm
wrong.
saying.
Yeah,
Spare the
okay.
rod, spare the child.
There you
I just
go.
about to say, I don't
Spoil
know
the
what
child.
Christian church Brandon went to. but-
No, y'all better. Hey, you better ask me. I was just merely making a statement. You better. I got my fair share of whoopings.
Yeah,
I got my
right.
fair share of whoopings.
But Drip, you talking about treating different. Like I have a son too. My son, I always treated him a little different just because he's a boy, you know. And
That's
he
what
again,
That's what Nick's saying. Do you ever treat her different because it's either a boy or a girl? I think Drip already elaborated on that, but I know you got boys and girls too, Adrian. So
yeah, my son, I got him a car even before he had license.
Oh
Because he
no,
was
you just
trusting.
see.
He was,
young
I mean, obviously he
Yeah.
was like 16, 17, but he was, and he was working on getting his license. But, I had taught him to drive and he was trusting. So I was like, got him a little 800 car and like, yo, pick your sisters up, man. Or,
He was the
if
oldest.
he was the oldest. Yeah. My son's the oldest.
Oh, okay.
So, but he was from a different mind. So he would come and stay with us,
Okay.
but he was just, and it's all in how you raise them. Like,
Right.
I raised them where, they was trusting, they didn't go outside. I mean, obviously they probably did some stuff we don't know about, but they didn't go outside of them bounds whenever I had, like when he had the car and, he had to pick the sisters up with a license.
It was on time. We don't know about the in between, but we know about the end result.
Exactly.
I think you're right. I mean, I don't have kids, but when I was in school, man, I had a friend of mine. He needed a babysitter almost all the way up until like high school. Like his parents couldn't leave him alone because he wasn't trusting. He almost burned the house down in middle school. You can't trust that when you come home and your house is like the kitchen on fire. Like you're not gonna leave him alone. Like if that was my son or my daughter, they tried that. I'd be like, look, you might be 13, 14 years old, but you can't stay here by yourself. You gotta go to auntie's house, grandma's house, somebody.
Yes.
Somebody got to be supervisor. Somebody got to be supervisor.
Makes
Hey,
your life
Jimbo,
so
you
much
there?
harder.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, man, we know you got 2 little girls, man. So I know they still young, but what's your thought and your approach as they get older? You know what I'm saying? On allowing them to do certain things or allowing them to not do certain things.
I'm a mixture. A lot of stuff that Coach A and Drip said, and also like I added something to how I parent my daughters. I know growing up and the people that raised me, and some of y'all know about this. They tell your kids you don't talk back to parents, folks, or they say something that's the end all be all.
Yeah.
But I started something new with my daughters because they're so freaking smart, man. I tell them, I'm like, listen,
Jimmy K, keep up.
I'm like, listen, I say, if I tell you something and you want to say something, I say, just make sure you tell me, excuse me, daddy, can I say something?
Right.
And then I'll let them say what they want to say. And a lot of times they have good input about certain things, even though at their young, so I'm like, why will I suppress
Exactly.
the knowledge that they have, even though they're 5 and 7? So I added that to my parenting.
That's a good technique, Jimmy. I like that.
Man, bro, I'll tell you, my 2 girls, they so freaking smart. Like, Adrian, y'all better. I just sometimes I just sit down and listen to them. And I listen to their reasoning of why they do certain things. I'm like, y'all are freaking smart. I think a lot of parents, if we sit down and listen to our kids and see how they reason and how they go through different steps and make decisions, we'll let them say a lot more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll talk a lot more. Sometimes, that I think that old school mentality is great. You got to put that fear in them, but. We to a place like we gotta let our kids speak up a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and tell us how they feel, and
But let me push this at you a little bit.
What's up?
Sometimes it's like a learning stage, like you know what I'm saying. Like if they feel like they can speak up, every time, then what happens when they get with their teacher or other adults? They might feel like they can speak up then. Excuse me, and the teacher might be like, "No, there's nothing else to say." And they still trying to push it, like, "Excuse me,
I don't want to take this test.
but excuse me." You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Well, I don't know how many times Elijah will come to me and try and talk to me about something. Once I'm done with it, I'm done, brother. Get out my face.
Wait, excuse me, Dad. Excuse me, Dad. Can I get some Cheerios again?
Like, nah, you need to go in there and eat them crackers.
We just bought this box. It's almost gone.
But I don't really see that problem right now with my girls. They're so much more respectful than I was.
Right.
I could care less whether you say I was a kid. I was gonna tell you what I thought. and that was gonna be your problem at the end of the day.
Right.
Right.
But see, the
That's a
question
you
is,
problem.
what? Because everything is growing into something, and so
Right.
that's the thing is that we have to be very. And it's not. There's no, strict right way to do it. Obviously, it's not going to be the same for your girls. Your girls is probably going to be excellent because of how close you are with them. But however, it's not the same technique for all kids. Some kids that will grow into them being argumentative or
Rebellious.
feeling like they are a lot more
Rebellious, yeah.
mature than they really think they are. And so that's the the scope where you really have to be careful.
I think it comes
Well,
from
this
like
is what I
kinda
do with that.
discipline.
This is what I do in
Yeah.
that situation. I've always told my kids, because we have open dialogue, me and my kids, because I want to know what they're thinking, and I
Mhm.
tell them, about situations. So I've always told them, if you are in a situation where you feel like an adult has said something to you, and you felt like it may have been wrong, you come and tell me.
Mhm.
And then we'll go to that adult. And I say we, even my kid, and we all will sit down and we'll talk about it, because it could be a misunderstanding on your part, could be a misunderstanding on their part.
Yeah.
So that's how I've always handled it. Like, and my kids do, they'll come and tell me, like, they're with their mom, and, hey dad, this happened, 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting on the phone. Hey,
Mhm.
Tristan, he tells me this happened, like what happened? And his mama tell me, well, this is what happened, 1, 2. And I'm like, hey, is this how it went down? She's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, so what happened is, it's just a misunderstanding. It wasn't meant to go that way. And I'm glad you told me, because you felt some way about it, like, and the problem gets resolved, But
Yeah.
as Coach touched on what you said, yeah, you can't. I've been a part of some conversations with some argumentative kids, like,
Yeah.
they just arguing just to be arguing.
Just
You
because they
tell
can,
them,
yeah.
yeah, you tell them, the sky is blue, and then they want to argue about that, and my daughter has a little bit of that in her. When I tell her something and she say, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, you already trying to be a woman. You just gonna argue me down when you wrong. I'm like, just like, oh God, the transformation is happening. I'm like, man. I'm like,
But
no,
Just
I
make-
gotta show her.
Hey,
Yeah.
just make sure you always right. That's for sure.
Do your
Oh,
homework
I know,
before you
man.
answer.
Don't get caught slipping.
For real, 'cause
I
they'll
already
make sure,
know.
they'll make sure they say what they need to say to put you down.
Oh my
But it goes back to
Oh
discipline.
yeah.
It goes back to discipline, like Patrick said, man. It goes back to discipline. And since we're going through that discipline conversation, what's the discipline, roles that you guys play with your children? I know with mine, I'm hands on. I'm hands on. I ain't gonna sit here and say I'm
Reactive.
yeah, I ain't gonna sit here and say I be beating them up or nothing like that, but your boy hands on. You did what I'm saying. So,
Touch and agree.
That's that's Mayweather. You got
Touch and agree. Touch and agree.
It goes back to what you said earlier, Coach, about putting fear in them. So, like I said, I'm hands on. So I put in their head that it don't matter how old you get, you're not finna step to me with any kind of issue. You know what I'm saying?
No
You're not
food,
finna
yeah.
step.
They gonna try you now.
because they gonna try you. They gonna try you.
They gonna
So,
try you.
It's been a couple times I had to jack up Elijah, and I done had to jack up our 2-year-old. Like, little buddy, you can't whoop me. You know what I'm saying? So even with the girls, man, I gotta get in their face a little bit. So I'm hands on. So what about y'all? Are y'all hands on or?
Oh my gosh.
I can't.
The same.
Am I the
His
only
face.
one?
He was just shaking his head like, yes.
Listen, are you kidding?
Yes.
Even to sometimes I'd be like, come on, agent, that might be a little extreme.
Right,
You got the message. But you got the and then the other voice said, but you got the message across. Nobody
And
got hurt. They can't call. They can't nobody call and say you abused nobody because you didn't. So you're all right. Because listen,
he validated his actions in his head. Like,
listen, I'm gonna tell you what happened
they
one
got
time
no
with my
broken
son.
bones, ain't no bruises.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what happened one time with my son, man. So my son was rambunctious. You know, of course he's the oldest. So as soon as he come home from school, he want to go outside. He in middle school, right? He just moved in with us. It's been about a year. He moved from Ohio to here. So you know, I got him and 3 other girls, right? And so every soon as he come home, he want to go outside. So he playing all the time. So I come home from work one time, and I guess he had been acting up or something, and so my wife at the time was like, you know, Isaiah was, you know, doing this and doing that, so she already building it up. I'm like, oh my God, no, he didn't. So I'm like, where he at now? Like, he outside playing. I'm like, this dude outside playing, he been acting all like this. So he come in the house, right? And I'm sitting on the couch. He come in the house, and I'm like, Isaiah, you know, what was going on or something? And he just walked, you know, kept walking and just said, oh, it was nothing. Like, matter of fact, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just somebody else on the couch. Man, I jumped off that couch, and I picked him up. He in middle school. I picked him up right here because you know it's a space right there. Your chin, you can hold yourself up with your chin when you're young. I had him up against the door. Up against the door.
Oh, God.
Ever talk to me like I'm just your friend, man. Ever.
We are not friends. I am your
I
father.
set that dude down. I set him down slowly too, so he'll feel the power.
He just said down slowly.
Ever talk to me like that, man. I wasn't choking him, but I just had, you know.
Yeah, you got to clarify that, Coach.
You at that age, yeah, you have to. I mean, it's over now. Statute of limitations is over. But you at that age. You at the kids at that age where you can pick them up by their head and their body ain't that heavy, so you know they don't know. So, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Don't build a case against yourself.
Nick said, "Don't build a case against." Just shut up, hey coach. Hey coach, shut up. Hey,
no, my son cool. He ain't testifying against. He said he was thankful for that, man.
I mean,
I got a similar story.
Oh my gosh!
But I'm on the other side of it, and so Nick just put up a question: do y'all see some similarities or different ways that y'all raised versus how y'all was raised? And I just want to tell my story because, like I said, I was on the other side of it. I was about 13 years old, and my mother asked me to take the trash out. So I don't know whatever I was doing that I didn't want to take the trash out. And if my mother is watching, she can attest to this story because I just had to do this with Elijah about a month or two ago. So I didn't want to take the trash out. She asked me a couple times. I finally came to the kitchen, and she asked me. She said, "Brandon, I need you to take this trash out." So I sucked my teeth out.
Oh,
no!
I sucked my teeth. A very, very big mistake. A mistake that I never made for the rest of my life. Well, I'm 33 now, so I did that 13, 20 years. I ain't did it in 20 years. So the moment that I sucked my teeth, I promise you, in 0.21 seconds, she grabbed your boy Chert and she held me against the wall like this.
Yeah.
And she told me, that will be your last time you ever suck your teeth at me. She was like, that was very disrespectful, and I will slit your neck if you ever do it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, that was the next thing that came out of my mouth. Yes, ma'am. Let me go take this garbage outside, and I better not ever suck my teeth at her again. So, you know, Elijah tried that with me like a few months ago, and I jacked him up against the refrigerator. I said, make it your last time sucking your teeth at me, or it will be the last time you suck your teeth at anybody walking the face of this planet. So to answer Nick's question, and I want y'all to answer Nick's question as well. I see a lot of similarities with how my mother raised us and how I do it. I interject that a lot, even when situations come up. I start remembering stuff that I did in the conversations that me and her had as young children. So I kind of go by the same thing. I think I'm a lot meaner people say I'm mean. I think I'm a lot meaner, and Nick can say that too. Nick done told me a couple times, man, you mean sometimes. Or Nate tell me I'm mean. I can be a little bit mean, but it's just me. It's just me guiding. I guess that's just how I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be a pushover. You can't finesse me. You know what I'm saying? So, what are your guys' views on how you were raised versus how you're raising your children now? Is there any similarities? You see, Nick said I'm a bully. Nah, I ain't no bully, Nick. Hey, I promise you, they walk around here saying yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, and they respectful. Y'all may see it as being a bully, but I got to know where they going to where they're respectful. And I'm causing for respect in my house, especially if I'm paying bills here. I'm causing for respect and peace.
That's a
in my
black
house.
parent right there, boy.
Yeah, and respect in the world.
Talk to a 5-year-old, they ain't pay no bills.
And it's respect in the world too, not just in the house. It's going to transcend.
It's going to transition
necessary.
from out of my household into the world. And like I said, people call me bully all the time. Why you do this? Your tact is a little bit harsh. I don't think so.
Bully?
Yeah, but they don't. And kids, they don't get it until they get to be our age, you know, and then they understand. But you just had to get through that, because there's a lot of times when I was doing those things, I was jacking them up and stuff. I'd be in the room feeling bad, be like, but then I get that other voice, like, it's all right, you saving them. But at the same time, long as you have that, if you have that balance where you give out the hugs and the kisses and I love yous and stuff like that, because there's a lot of guys that don't do that. And I feel like you always got to be that father. You can be that harsh father when you need to, but you always got to be that soft father when you need to as well.
Right. And like Sam just said, we got our 2-year-old saying yes, ma'am, no, sir, yes, sir. We got our 2-year-old saying that. Yeah, that's the thing. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
good.
Like, if he walking around here saying that now, let's just think when he get out there in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be out there respecting those teachers, and I don't cause for disrespect, especially if I don't disrespect you. I don't cause for disrespect. So Drip, you know what I'm saying? What's the similarities from how you were raised or how you're using those tactics in your own household with your children?
Let me tell you something, man. When I was coming up, you talking about the 80s.
Right?
You talking about the 90s.
You got to get permission to talk now.
Yeah. You know, in my house, it was just my mom. She was a single mom. You know, south side of Chicago, she got, at that time, just the three of us, 3 boys. So, man, she was boots to ass, man. You know, it was like, look, dude, when she called you, you better have appeared within a second in front of her.
That's how I
don't make her call you again, because
don't let it get
that
twice.
second time she at your doorstep in your bedroom, like.
Right.
So with me, I'm sort of like that with my kids. Only they can tell you I eliminated the whooping part. You know, like, no, don't get me wrong. They have been touched, you know, because, you know, but I'm still on, you know, the amount of times I can count on both hands and still have reached a 10. But they know that, you know, at a certain point, Dad will, you know, tap you on the shoulder, so to speak, like, who you playing with, you know. So with that, I'm more like my mom. My mom was a talker. She would talk to you, but you're only getting a handful of talks.
Yeah,
so
too many more. Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't no repeating herself on the same thing. You get once, you may even get lucky and get a second time, depending on her mood. But one gonna be a third time, because you know, then that's all bets are off, and you picking yourself up off the ground, trying to wonder how you got there. You know, so which is, I'm glad you brought that up. She is coming to visit. She coming to visit us. She live in Mississippi, you know, and you know, my kids, they love the grandma. And I tell them, I was like, yeah, you love grandma. What do you think I got how y'all raised from? She worse than me.
Hey,
she worse than me.
The
I
grandparents they
cut
get
you a
soft,
break.
don't they?
They get so soft, bro.
They get soft, boy. The grandparents get
I
soft.
know. I'm just saying. I told him, man, she worse than me. I like, let me tell you what grandma used to do to me. I go to school and act up. I get suspended. She would wake me up at school time, like, you supposed to be in school, wake up. And I'm like, and all day, she got me washing walls, cleaning toilets, I'm spring cleaning in the winter. And I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I don't make y'all do that.
Yeah, I remember for us, especially going back to what Jimmy said, that grandparents soft. We was in Florida, and Xavier did something in my mother's house, and when he did it, I'm like, oh, he better get it. So I'm not finna step in. I'm like, oh, he about to get it. Man, listen, she got him now. Don't get me wrong, I got him, but she popped that joker a few times. I'm looking at her like, I'd have got the full belt. You know what I'm saying? I got the full belt. This little 2-year-old got popped by 6 times, and I would have got the full belt by 30 times. So they get
I
soft.
like that comment, Samantha.
They get soft. Hold on, what did Samantha say?
She said, whenever I tell my kids my mom used to spank me with a spoon, my mom always claims that never happened. They magically
That's
get
true.
amnesia, bro. They
That's
just get
true.
amnesia when you grow up.
Yeah.
They be like, I never did that.
They
You did? What you mean? The memory is still vividly in my mind.
I'm not making
Hey,
it
you're
up.
traumatized in your mind from that, so you'll never forget.
He ain't messed up. Man.
I wouldn't. I was strict, but I wouldn't. My mom was. She was like you said, boot to butt, boy. She ain't care. Single mom too. It was just me and her. It was just me and her for a long time, and I was one of those bad kids, man. I mean, I wouldn't say I was bad because I had a key, and I wouldn't want to go burn the house down because I was scared of my mom, but. I was one of those kids that eat up everything, and she come home and be like, "What happened? Who ate all the Twinkies?" I don't know. Like,
How you don't know you the only one in the house?
Exactly. That's how scared I was to get beat, boy. She was on me. But she hood, man. Whatever she had in her hand, it was gonna get whooped with it, boy. If she was ironing clothes out, burn you with this iron, boy. If she was putting a hanger, she was putting some hangers out. Hit you with this hanger, boy. Whatever she had, this brush out, hit you with this brush. Boy, while I'm doing my hair, you don't be lying to me or something, boy. She was on me. She was strict though.
That's crazy.
I know my mama. She I just got to tell this story.
Yeah, go ahead.
It'd be a couple times. I was bad in school. Like I promise you, the elementary, middle, and high school. The front office, they knew me. They knew who Jimmy was. But this lady, when I was in elementary, sometimes middle school, this lady she'll come home act like everything kosher. Boy, wait till I get in the tub. The lady bust through the door with that belt. You ever got whooped wet? With that leather?
Yeah, buddy, man.
Oh man, let me shift it a little bit. Nick got another question. Hey Nick, I'm proud of you, man. My dog not feeling well. He's still being a part of the show, man. He's doing his thing. Nick said, do y'all ever see the kids act different around mom and dad?
Of course. They know dad is the hammer. They get depending on the situation. If you're a single mom, I think a single moms handle it a lot better because they have to, depending on the kids. But when you have two in the household, I've noticed that a lot of times, the moms, and it just depends on who's the main disciplinarian. Yeah. But the dads for some reason get when your dad come, you just straighten up.
Mm-hmm.
You just straighten up a lot more.
I know in our situation, me and Sam's situation, she could tell the boys one time, do dad need to come in here? It's a full out cry. It's a full out cry. It's a full out cry. So Jimmy, man, is it a little bit different when it comes to when the kids are with dad or with mom? How's it different? What's the difference of the similarities?
Yeah, they mama tell me all the time. She be like, I gotta scream and holler at them. They be like, you come and you just talk softly to them, and they do what you say.
Straighten up. Straighten up. What about you, Drip?
Well, to give you some context and background, I got 3 kids, and they all got their own different moms. So 3 moms. So when it comes to me, I'm like, you know, all my rules and the way I treat them are all the same, you know. So, but when they're with their moms, you know, I hear these stories, and I'm like, they don't do that at my house. Like, you know, like, you know, like my daughter mom would call me and be like, she's doing this, she's doing that. She thinks she's grown. I'm like, she don't do that at my house. I'm like, I don't know, all this behavior you're talking about, I don't see. I'm like, maybe you need to get a little bit more tougher or something. I don't know. I'm like, but they do act differently. I mean, I guess because, like Coach A say, Dad's the hammer. You know, I got that thunderous voice where I don't have to, you know, hit them. I can just raise my voice a little bit because I'm not a yeller. I don't yell at my kids unless they piss me off. And then they get the look on their face. You know, they get the look on their face like, oh, we went too far. Like, and then all of a sudden it's just quiet. You know, like, so that's why I think it's important. I always tell people, don't yell at your kids all the time because they get used to it. And then it just becomes, oh, he just talking. So I talk to them like I'm talking to you. They more scared of me talking regularly. When I'm like, hey, come here for a sec. And they get to looking like, oh, what did I do? I'm like, I got to tell them, oh, no, you cool. I'm just want to ask you something. You know, but when I yell, they like, oh, shit, we going to sit down. And they just sit down.
Absolutely.
They like,
sit down.
They going to sit down. And I don't hear from them.
Nick told me some B tell the story when we got sent to get our own Switch. Man, I'll tell you.
Oh, man, y'all was on that too?
Hey, my mama sent us to get a Switch, and we bet not get something small, because if we got something small, we're going to get a whooping for getting the Switch that was small. And on top of that, going to get a whooping for whatever we got in trouble for.
That's
so now, hey, Deirdre was no joke, man. Deirdre was no joke. I'm going to tell you that right now. Deirdre was no joke. I remember the time my mother lined us all up on her bed, bare booty naked, slapping us with belts. And I ain't trying to put my mom out there. She always think we trying to put her out there. No, I'm just telling you, Ma, that you weren't no joke. And
she gonna beat you now. Telling the house business.
Yeah, exactly. But I can't believe y'all had time to get a Switch. My mom ain't give me no time for nothing. It was on. Like I don't even think she ever waited till my friends left or nothing. She just started racing.
It was time to think about it when she gave us that time. Think about what was
That's that psychological torture. That's what that is.
She was messing us up mentally. That's what was going on.
How you get to pick a Switch? Like, did you leave the leaves on it? Like, I'm gonna leave the leaves on this thing. It might be softer.
Man, you don't want to get that, Patrick. You don't want to get the small.
My grandma apparently used to do that, but I'm like, hey, look. I know I'm not gonna go pick the big one. That's not happening. I gotta pick the small one and hope she's too tired to go out there and go get the bigger one. I gotta shoot my shot.
You gotta take your chance. Nick said, with that being said, do you try and discipline them when they not with you? And I think that's probably towards Drip there. So when they not with you, do you discipline them, or not so much as discipline, but are you playing that huge role like you would if they were with you?
You know, that's a fine line right there, because what you doing, what they're asking me to do, in my opinion, is to run their household. I don't live there.
He's saying no.
No, I'm saying there's sometimes I intervene, like while I get them on the phone, and I'll talk to them and I'll say, hey, what's going on? Because I always ask them, what's going on? Because there's two sides to every story. So, and they'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, do you act like that with me? And no. Then why are you doing it over there?
Exactly.
And then they go quiet. Exactly. And I just tell them, look, don't do it again. Just listen to what your mom got to say. But all along in my mind, I'm like, why y'all calling me? I'm over here. You know,
This is a
like,
you problem.
Call me when the house burned down. I need that dick dog.
you know,
That's it.
I'm
You
like,
don't
I'm
never-
over here minding my business, man.
Drip, you'll
You
never be
know,
like, do I need to come over there?
You know what? You can do that, but kids ain't dumb when you
You might
don't
have
show
to.
up.
Right.
You know, it's like
gotta
they looking
execute
around
that
like you
plan.
ain't show up.
Yeah. If you say you're gonna do it, you better do it.
That-
You know what I mean?
Right, you
Yeah.
gotta do it.
You gotta
And
do
I don't want to
the
get in
only-
the habit of running up there.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
But
you
I
live 30
would
minutes away.
the only thing I would say to that is that it's still, again, these are still seeds that's growing into something. And so if they're doing something outside of where you are, then what you're planting into them is being uprooted. So you have to make sure that what you plant into them stays in them no matter where they are. So
Yeah.
how you accomplish that, I mean, that's, you're going to have we have to figure that out, but it's very important because, again, if you have another parent that's a lot lenient, then it's going to uproot what you put in them. And you don't want that to
Yeah.
happen, because when they get in high school or middle school or in the real world, what somebody done uprooted could be the death of them, or
Yeah.
struggle. So you just have to try to find, especially if you have their moms that's communicating with you, then that's a good sign. That's a good sign that you can take an extra effort, because, let's be real. The kids, they didn't really ask to be in this situation. So
That's
we
true.
might have to go the extra mile to make sure that they're fine. So that might mean you might have to drive over there one time, or you might have to talk to them on the phone, or, just extend a little more, just to make sure that it's about what you're planning into them stays there wherever they go, because their mom's house could just as much be the school, or just as much be the Boys and Girls Club, or wherever that. And they're going to get into a habit of, long as I'm not with my dad, I can act out. No, it don't matter where you are.
I tell them my expectations of them is to behave as if I was around. When you're not in my sight, I tell them, I need you to act like you were within me. Because I tell them, I'm going to find out. You best believe I'm going to find out. And if I find out, we going to dance. So we
know we going to dance. So Jimbo, speak a little bit on it a little bit. So is there any time where you have to discipline when they're not around? And I keep saying discipline, not discipline, but really just get involved if something's not right wherever they're at.
Yeah, it's sometimes when the grandmama and the mama call me, but it's only so much I can do over the phone.
Right.
Exactly.
And my daughters, they're smart enough to know that, like, Daddy, you're like really, really far away. So, but like to what Adrian say, that's it's so true, because when I get them during the summer or whatever the case is, my girls will tell you it's different over here, and they know, and just like what Miss Telly said, it's things that they do over there that when they were here, the mom would be like, "Do they do this with you?" I say no. And she'd be like, "Well, I don't know why they're doing this," but me, I'll be like, and I tell them, like, because you allow them to do it. I'm like, you the parent.
You don't want to hear it, but
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been times I got calls, I had to intervene. I talk to them. Sometimes a lot of times it'll work. The other times, it didn't work. They was, overly emotional and crying, and they didn't want to hear nothing. But yeah, there has been times.
Gotcha.
And I would tell you, I've been through that same situation, because, like I said, my son, and that was one of the problems that I've had, because I do not just only do I have a son, but I have a daughter also, his sister. They had the same mom. So when they was in Ohio, I was like completely out of it. They didn't call me for anything. Obviously we would talk on the phone, but when it came to discipline, they completely left me out. And you can tell the difference, because when they would come with us for the summer, they would have a different attitude. And, I had to correct all this stuff and get them back on track that they mom or didn't do. In fact, when my son came to move with us, he was, flunking out of school. And so we ended up getting him back on track. getting his grades up, getting him on a basketball team and all that stuff. So it's a unfortunate, it's a difference, but you just have to, and I wish I had found a better way to be able to reach out and just communicated and was more, involved in their discipline and stuff like that, even when I wasn't there. Because sometimes just calling and talking to them on the phone and, in the middle of them getting in trouble or something going on, like Drip said, like, you don't do that here. Why are you doing that there? That makes it different. It retracts, you put their mind back on the right track.
Absolutely.
So, but a lot of times parents, they don't communicate like that as well as they should. And that's where the breakdown comes at, when you have, there's two different households. It's a whole different dynamic too nowadays. So, what you have the step kids, and then, you have the two different households, and there's just so much stuff that parents has to face that is pretty, makes it challenging. Because a lot of times you're coming into a situation where the kids is already 10 and 12 years old, and they already got personalities, and then you and they just had a baby, so now you got the one that your blood, and then you got this 10-year-old that they calling you by your first name or whatever situation. How you supposed to, what you supposed to say to him? Like, put that down. Like, what you talking about, nigga? Like, no, I just married your mom. I'm in charge now. Oh, my bad. Well, go ahead. And I was usually in charge when you wasn't here, but okay, all right. Obviously, I'm being funny.
On PlayStation.
Now, I will say
now,
too,
that brings up an interesting question.
Yeah.
How do you handle that situation where you have kids and then you get with a woman and she got a child or children roughly the same age, blending a family? Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that? Because I actually was in that situation in my first marriage. She had a son. He was 9 at the time. And then I had my kids, 7 and 3. And so the whole discipline structure, became a kind of a sore point, because, I'm a certain way with disciplining, and she wanted to discipline her son in a totally different way, more of a loosey-goosey, I'm your homie type deal.
Yeah.
So
not loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
That, bro.
Yeah.
And you got my boys looking like, well, why he ain't getting in trouble? And we are, and I'm like trying to tell them, and I talk to them, and like, let me tell you something. I'm doing this for your own good. I don't take any pleasure in talking to you, but
I can't touch that one, but I can touch you.
Right.
What they doing over there? Like, damn, it's the same household. Like, I'm just telling you, what they doing over there, we don't do.
We ain't doing that. Not at
and
all.
I'm like,
We ain't doing that. You better pay attention to what they doing, because if you do
That's
it,
gonna get you hurt.
my brother, like what Drip said earlier, we finna dance. We finna
right. So
I'm the dad. I'm the only one invited to this dance.
Yes.
But I will say this real quick too, like talking about when Adrian's talking about challenging things being challenging. My oldest daughter, like, I don't know, when she told me this, I had to take a step back, and I'm like, oh man, y'all, I'm kind of stern on my daughters, but I'm also not stern. But one day my oldest daughter, she has memories of me and their mom being together. So she told me one day, she's like, Daddy, it's really hard going from house to house, and you know what I'm saying, and y'all not being together, and this, that, and the third. And the way she was breaking it down to me, I'm like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, all right, this is something else I gotta remember, that I gotta take into account, because you have those memories. And it's so crazy because she's 7. When we split, she was like 4, and she telling me the stuff that she remember. I'm like, dang.
You know
So
what?
like these
Children,
kids, they really go through stuff.
no,
you know?
children go through a lot. It's a lot that I remember,
Yeah.
and that I've had to tell my mother when I was like 3, 4 years old that I remember. She didn't think I remember stuff like that. These children remember everything. It might not look like they paying attention, or they over there sitting in the corner playing with blocks or toys or whatever. They are listening. They are
Yeah.
paying attention. And Jimmy, you're right. It get challenging when kids start bringing up memories and stuff, and like, you have to take a step back and reevaluate the situation. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because my mother has told. I've talked stuff about my mom, and me remembering when my mom and dad was together when I was 3, 4 years old, and some of the things that was going on I can remember verbatim. And when I tell it to her, she ain't nothing that she's ever talked about. It's something we're in a conversation, and I told her, and she was like, "You remember that?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, I remember. I might have been 3, 4 years old. I mean, it's kind of vague, but I can remember the certain parts of what was going on. Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's a huge point there, Jimmy. I like that.
I remembered a couple times my dad came through.
Stop it. Stop it.
I'm serious, for real. I'm serious. I remember it was a couple times. I was like, "Oh, okay, we finna be a family." Nope.
He said nope.
Nope.
It's not
Yeah.
funny.
I'm gonna tell you what, Jimmy.
It's not funny, but
Joy
it makes
is
it funny.
joy, man. You better accept that joy, man. I don't have no regrets or
The
anything.
real
but
challenge,
I think-
Jimmy, though, is when they come to you and ask you, "Why don't you and mom get back together?" Now that's
Oh, that's
gonna be the
already
real
happened.
challenge.
That's
Yeah.
happened multiple times.
And how
Like,
did
Jimmy
you
had
handle
friends.
that?
Jimmy had friends ask you that too.
Had to real.
he was getting it from everybody at one point.
Nah, that's happened. That's happened
So
multiple times with my oldest, and I kept it real with her. And like even when I went to pick them up from their mom, and we actually was at a store, so we went in the store to get them some things, and my oldest was like, "Daddy, I like this. All of us are together as a family." And she's like, "Why aren't we always like this?" So I told her straight in front of her mama. I was honest, real honest with her, and her mama looked at me crazy. I'm like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell them the truth."
Wait,
Of course I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Oh my God! You notice he didn't tell us what he said. He just
I'm gonna tell them the truth.
I'll tell you, she asked on why her mom and her dad wasn't together. I said, well, when your mom and dad was together, we were acting like kids. You know what I'm saying? We weren't acting like adults, and
That
that's what
was
happened.
good.
Yeah, and this is the result of what happens when you act like a child. So
That's not what he meant, though. He meant he meant one of us was acting like a child.
Don't do that, Coach. Don't do
We
that.
just messing with ya.
you see, all right?
Coach A said it, not Jimmy.
Yes, and it was Jimmy.
Hey,
Oh my
hey, a lot of people might think that too, but that's fine. That's fine. Hey, I tell you what, I sure ain't make it easy though.
Yeah. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this, that any type of separation and divorce is the hardest thing on kids. I've learned that within the last 3 or 4 years, even with my kids, like I said, the youngest is 18. And so it's just, even now, I still see the ripple effects of when we separated and divorced and stuff like that. It's like worse than death, man, because, when you have death, there's closure, but the separation, because there's another aspect. Kids actually learn how to manipulate too. They learn how to manipulate and go between both parents, and so you have to shift through that and figure out what's really like. Are you really upset, or are you just trying to get your way? And it just makes it even that much challenging.
Absolutely correct.
It is challenging.
I think it's good what you guys were saying earlier. That kind of leads back to this. About Jimmy was saying he lets his kids speak. My pastor did a sermon saying that they need to have a voice, because you don't want to take away the lion's voice and then they have no voice when they get out into the world. They need to be able to speak up for themselves. They need to be able to assertively communicate. And with the separation and everything, being able to have that conversation is important, because dialogue. There's a lot of stuff that goes into child therapy now, which I wish they had it when I was growing up. And what Adrian was saying, Coach A was saying that what happens between the parents and the kids it's not that they get forgotten about. It's just everyone kind of like dawdles around it, but they never actually really talk to them and dialogue with their experience. And I'm glad that your kids able to do that, Jimmy, because from having to go through that myself, there's just things that happen in you psychologically you don't even realize that's there. And now when it comes time for you to get into a marriage or you to get into a serious relationship, you don't know how to connect with people properly because everything that you saw growing up. And that was like, I'm still dealing with that today. Yeah, really actually just getting to the point in my life where I can actually go address things that happened to me in high school. And so I'm glad you guys are talking about it because people need to hear that conversation, especially with the day and age we have with Tinder and TikTok and all this other stuff. People need to hear the truth.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, just to be transparent, didn't mean to cut you off real quick, but just to be transparent, my youngest, who's like I talked about, my youngest daughter, 18, she's turning 19. She's suffering a lot from the divorce, and you talking about 2010, so it's almost close to 10 years that we've been separated, and she has some of the after effects, and it's hard trying to really get back on track. with what you said, so it doesn't change. It moves all the way up into adult. I can see it in all my kids. I can see it in all of them. I can see it in all of them. I can see it in, with the other girls, how they, one of them, the self-esteem is not as high as it should be. She's very smart. She's studying to be a marine biologist, but at the same time, she could be a lot more confident. And even with my son, he's in and out. He's still trying to do his thing working wise, but he could be a lot more structured when we're together. The discipline and the guidance of a child is they have a lot better opportunity than when, again, you take one of those wheels off the bike and they have to force to make it, with the one of the wheels broken.
Yeah. What I was going to add, and just tagging on what Patrick was talking about with the divorce and how the kids go through things, and I've been on both sides of it. My parents were divorced when I was 12, and it does go with you. I wouldn't, from my perspective, I wouldn't say it hindered me in any kind of way, but it goes with you as a child. And with my previous relationship, because children was involved, with me being divorced to the young lady I was with, it's bothered them, and I was with them for a decade. You know what I'm saying? They're not biologically my children. I still call them my children because I was there when they were little and I've watched them grow up. So we still talk. I still am that fatherly guidance, but I can see it in them that it bothered them that me and their mother aren't together anymore. So just with being on both sides of the fence on that, with me being an adult going through a divorce, and then with watching my parents go through a divorce, it messes with you a little bit. It messes with you a little bit, and I thank the people around me for getting me through it. I appreciate you mentioning that it bothered, that you're getting out of it, Patrick, too. So I'm glad you mentioned that, man. So that's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. And people, like Patrick said, people tiptoe around it with children. You think everything's going to be okay. Well, no, it's not really everything's going to be okay. Not for a lot of situations. So that's where the communication needs to be involved. And a lot of parents say, tell the children, it hasn't. What's going on between mom and dad has nothing to do with you, which in the case it doesn't. But at the end of the day, the child is still feeling some type of worse from the situation. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Patrick, because I felt both sides of the spectrum. I've been with my parents being divorced, and I've been divorced. So I definitely felt both sides of that. So appreciate you mentioning that.
And think about it, everybody, the adults is pretty much getting what they want. They upset, They so mad that they want to go away. They want a new life. They want to do this, but the kids, that's not what they want. And so it has a huge impact. And I think it's important too to talk about, because when people go into relationships, they need to have this in mind that, when you bring a child involved, get a child involved and start raising a family, it's a different, you run that risk. It affects everybody. It was I feel like I'm fortunate because I've never seen it. It's just been me and my mom. I was introduced to my dad. I'm in prison, and whenever he got out, he came by, a couple times, and I knew that was my dad. But the strangest thing is I never really called him dad. I called him Cleveland. That was his name. That's how I was introduced. You see what I'm saying? So he never really had that bond. So that was just. I think that it's almost better if you raised in the than to be ripped apart and split, to just almost be raised by a single parent. Now, granted, when I turned 12, I had Nigel. My mom ended up meeting Nigel, and Nigel was perfect. Nigel was the perfect stepdad. I call him my dad now. The last 5-6 years, in my head, I actively make sure that I call him dad because he deserves it. He's been there. He's still there. And he never whooped me, by the way. But he always gave me, whatever I needed. But I did one time. He had a coin jar. He had a bunch of quarters and stuff in there. The kids and video games. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I figured a way to get in there and get these coins out of there. And I was playing the game, and they found out. Nigel took me down to the basement, sat me in the chair. He said, "Now look," he said, "Now I'll get you anything you want. You know that, right? You don't ever have to steal from me." And I thought for a minute. I had to, knocked all them voices off my shoulder and just listened to the one in the middle. I ain't never did it again.
Hey, man, that's good.
Not with Nigel.
He said, I get you what? You don't need to steal.
Yeah, just so the way he said it, because he didn't whoop me, he didn't yell at me, none of those things. It just the way he was. He was real nice, and I was like, man, don't be no fool now.
Don't bite the hand that's feeding you, now.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't bite the hand that's feeding you. But that was a great topic there, fellas. Man, we got a lot of dialogue out of that. Let's move on a little bit here, and let's talk about money a little bit. Let's talk about people
money.
Just a tad. People in their bags a little bit. What y'all think about loaning people money, man?
Let me go ahead and start and end this conversation real quick.
He gonna start and end it at the same time.
Jimmy
So listen,
we already know Jimmy saying no.
What's up? I'm gonna get in contact with you.
So I was raised and taught by somebody else who I call dad. He's my goddad, but I call him a dad. He always taught me when he came into my life. He was like, "Listen, son," he was like, when it comes to family or just strangers, anybody, he said, never give or loan anybody any money if you can't afford to lose it. If you got to ask for it back, I know I don't have anything to give to you. And that way there would never be any problems. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that made freaking sense.
Yeah.
If you pay me back, good. If you don't pay me back, I'm still good.
Yeah.
And we keep our relationship, everything kosher. It's just it's that simple to me.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
My mother tell us that all the time. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna give with an open heart. You know what I'm saying? Don't expect for it to be back. Know who you dealing with at the time you giving them money. Know who you dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So somebody asks you for money, here, man, take this money. Don't sit here and expect for it to be back. You know what I'm saying?
But we also need to throw in our time and other things too.
Yeah.
That's just more valuable than money.
Right. Nick said, and the person we want to talk about it ain't on here. Nate ain't even on here, man. I called Nate like 3-4 times. He ain't pick up the phone.
Hey Ma, I do listen. I might act like I don't listen to y'all, but I listen.
Hey, listen, I adopted that same philosophy too. If I don't have it to give, then I'm not gonna give it to you. But I will tell you something funny though. I always say this ever since I saw it. I was watching Sanford and Son one time, and one of his friends came over to Fred and was like, "Yo, Fred, man, I need to borrow $10." And Fred was like, "Oh man, you caught me at a bad time. I got it." So every time my kids or somebody asks me for some money, I'll be like, "Man, you caught me at a bad time, man. I got it."
I got it.
They'll never ask when you don't have it.
For real. Nate, you don't have to laugh. Why you ain't say nothing then, Nate? I called you like 4 times. You just ignore my phone call.
But let me add this though. What about how you make people feel though? I try to make people feel comfortable too, like, because I've been in a situation where I needed to borrow money or I needed some help, and it's a tough when you in that situation. So I always make sure that with my friends that they know that they can come to me, and I'm not gonna make them feel a certain way, like, oh, you need money again, or what's wrong with you? You ain't, you know what I'm saying? Because this the hardest thing is to be able to come to somebody and ask for some money, man. Even with my mom, them, I don't even ask my parents for no money, man. I just get out there and make it happen, but it's tough. So I always make sure that when I'm dealing with other people, that I never make them feel bad or low or
Right.
you know, when they need help, because I think that's huge too.
I think, and I think I agree with what you're saying, Coach A. If anybody doesn't come to ask me for money, that's for them to ask me for money. They're at a low point in their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to make them feel any lower than what they're already doing. And I can only speak for myself. Like, my pride get in the way. Like, if I ain't got it, and this is how our mother raised us. If we ain't got it, we ain't got it for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people say, Brandon, don't let your pride stand in front of you. But I can't ask people for money. It's very hard for me to ask people for money, because if I ain't got it,
that?
and like I said, I think it's a pride thing. It's a pride thing. It's a pride thing. It's hard for me to ask for money. I don't know. I feel like if I can't go out there and make it myself, then whatever I need the money for, it ain't that important. You know what I'm saying? So
what if you need the money for FP&L or to put food on
but
the
the type
table?
of person that I am is that whatever money I do make, my priorities come first. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take care
That's
of
a priority. I'm just saying, okay, put worst case
I feel
scenario, you got everything taken care of, but you missing $100 for FP&L.
somehow, some way, I'm on the phone talking to them, letting them know, hey, it's either I can get y'all next week or y'all cutting me off.
Okay.
But yeah, but the question, see, now you let him get off the hook, but the question is, you've done all that. He talking about when you've done all that, and on tomorrow the lights, the power is going to be off. That's what Jimmy's being nice. Jimmy's being nice. Jimmy letting people get off. I ain't gonna let nobody get off. Yes, he's talking about, and I'm not. This ain't no strike or anything against anybody, but that's what Jimmy mean. When you get to that point where tomorrow the lights is going to be off, the food is going to be spoiled, the kids are going to be, they got to get to school, but they got to be able to see. They got, at that point, at some point, and even the Bible say, if you don't ask, you don't receive. So sometimes you just have to reach out. Sometimes you just have to reach out.
Like I said, and you're right. Sometimes you have to reach out, and I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate within my life that I've never had to be put in that situation where the lights need to be due tomorrow or they're going to be cut off, that I need to go and get some money. I've never been put in that situation. You know what I'm saying? I would rather go get a payday loan than go ask somebody else for money.
What about,
you know what I'm saying?
A set?
What's that?
What about selling a set?
Oh my God! And he gonna say this with a straight face. What about selling a sack?
Bro, listen. I ain't never sold a sack a day in my whole life.
Jimmy, let me ask you a question. Don't you gotta buy the sack first?
I ain't got
I can tell Jimmy
not
don't
necessarily. There are some people that
you got connections. You got connections.
Hey man, I'm telling you.
Ain't nobody front nobody that they ain't. You just now coming up. You must got some. We gotta figure out who all in Jimmy's circle. We thought it was just us. We thought it was just us. Jimmy got a second life.
I've had plenty of opportunities, and I won't go too deep into it to go that route. You know what I'm saying? For one, I'm paranoid, so to be out here selling this
PTSD from what?
Bro. You mean to tell me that selling drugs is just gonna be easy and that I'm gonna get away with it? No, I'm paranoid. I don't want to be getting caught.
They don't want to make the situation worse.
Exactly. I'm paranoid about that job, man.
You gotta be good at that stuff.
Nah, you gotta be good at it, but
you gotta be good. I tried it when I was in college. I tried selling some weed. I was horrible at it. It just depends how much you could get. How much you think I could get for this? They're like, no, you just need to put it away.
No. But to get back on subject,
I'm serious.
We talk about selling drugs now. To get back on subject,
Oh yeah,
it's Jimmy's fault. See, Jimmy a bad influence, man.
Oh, what's that?
Nick made a point. Nick made a point, and this is something that I forgot to tell Demi when he asked this question. Nick said, I've always gotten a second job before I ask for money. And I've worked 2 jobs before because I won't ask for money.
Yeah,
I've
but
gotten
y'all,
a second job. No,
but
but
y'all
listen,
are
though.
missing the point, though. Go ahead.
No. I see the point. If something needs to be done, you have to think not just for the day, but you have to think for further. You have to think for the future. So if I see something, if I'm put in a situation and I know something's about to go down, I'll go find another job before I get to go asking for money.
But you still got to wait 2 weeks or a weekend to work. You got to go through the interview. There's a lot of
Listen. 9 times out of 10, I got a significant other. They better hold it down till that 2 weeks come.
See what Ali said? He said he got a separate bank account labeled the people.
My pastor said that. That's good. I mean, you gotta be able to give it away freely. Like, if you give it away with the expectation of getting it back, you asking for trouble. And I like what Coach A said, because I think part of where that pride comes is passed down to us. But like, they were put, people know from some point in their past, they were put in a position where, like, man, I really need it. I'm gonna just go ask such and such, and then that person, like, they gave them the money, but they dragged them through the dirt for it, and then it's not worth it. And then so I think I like what Coach A said. I haven't had to do this yet. At least not the reformed me. The older me gave people money, and I was expecting to get it back. But now, if I were having to do it now, I would do it like Coach A said. Like, you can always come to me if you need it, and I got it. If I don't got it, I don't got it. But if I got it, I'll go ahead and loan it out, and you don't got to give it back. I don't care. I don't want it back.
Real talk. Drip. Let us know your perspective on that, bro.
Well, man, I admire you guys' maturity. And when I grow up, I hope I can be like y'all.
Yeah, I knew it. Just that you ain't not getting it.
When I loan you my cheese, I expect my damn cheese back, man. I just can't let cheese fly out the window, man. Now, to touch what Brandon said, you got to know your people too.
That's what I said. You got to know who you're dealing with.
Because I got a brother, and he'll call me up. You say, "Hey, Pudge, loan me $20, $50 until tomorrow." And I look at the phone like, well, you can wait till tomorrow then. Like, you don't need my money right now. I mean, if it's going to be...
10 o'clock already,
Right.
I was about to say, it's already late at night. You waiting a few hours.
Because I know him. This is my brother and I love him. But when he give you a time and a date for something, that's a lie.
That's a lie.
It is, because if he say, I'll be at your house on Thursday at 4 o'clock with your money, that's a lie. You'll be sitting there at 4 o'clock, don't hear from the cat. The cat is somewhere in the wind. Don't pick up the phone, nothing. Now, I got my other brother, and he'll loan you money, but with him, he'll loan you money, and he'll when you gonna give it back to me? And you tell him that day and that time, and you give it back to him. So he's like, cool. But when he borrow money from you, you like, all right, when I'm gonna get my money back, I'm gonna get your money back on this day and time. And that day and time, you calling them, hey, what's up with my money? Well, can I pay you back 10? Right now, I'm like, nah, man, give me all my money back, man, because you expect all your money back, right? So you got to know your people. You got to know your people. And only reason why I expect my money back is, man, I got kids. I loan you money to help you out, That's their money to me. I work for them. I don't have nothing.
Well, you shouldn't be loaning your kids money out. You shouldn't be, loaning your kids money out. I'm just going to tell you
their money out. But
you just said it, man. You can't take it back. No take backs.
Okay, I go to work. The paychecks that I earn, I look at it as that's money for them, because I had sat them down and had a talk, because they start thinking money grow on trees. Kids don't think, money. And I sat them down and I said, do me a favor. I was like, I want you to look around this house.
Look around. Look around.
And they point out everything. They point out stuff. And I'm like, that's a lot of stuff, right? They like, yeah. So I was like, now do me a favor. Now point to everything that belongs to dad. And they was like, this and that. And I was like, exactly. I don't have nothing. All my money go to y'all.
So we
like,
so we already know.
so don't think it's easy.
Yeah.
I tell them,
But
don't
listen,
think it's easy. I'll make it look easy.
We can't borrow from Drip. We can't borrow ass.
No,
Don't
see,
nobody
that's the
ask
thing
Drip
about
for
me.
nothing.
No, that's the thing about me. I make it easy. You can come call me. I think I make it too easy. People call me up. Can I borrow? I say, sure. Here you go. You know, but I know my people, like I said. Now, certain people call up, maybe like, hey, man, I need to borrow 200. And I'll be like, oh, man, I don't even got it. And I'm counting out $500 on the phone. Like, I ain't even got it, man. Like,
Hey, I
you know,
want
but
to hit on Ali comment real quick. He was asking, and actually he's asking this to everybody, so not just me, but he was asking would I feel comfortable if I was like asking Jimmy for money. And to answer that question, if it was early in my life, because like I said, I have a pride issue. I'm working on that within my life. If it was early in my life, I wouldn't feel comfortable asking him. If I was in a dire need situation, I would go to my brothers. I would go to my brothers first. You know what I'm saying? I go to my brothers, and Jimmy is my brother. So yes, to answer that question, yes, I would feel comfortable asking him for money now. At this point in my life, but if I can't get past Jimmy, I'm not asking anybody else. Or if I can't get past my brothers, that's it. That's where the foot lies. You know what I'm saying? If I can go and ask them, if they ain't got it, then hey, I'm not asking nobody else. If I go to somebody I'm comfortable with, like I said, I'll call up my brother if I need anything, and if it comes to that, it has to be a diehard situation to where it has to come to that. But to answer your question, Ali, yes, I would feel comfortable doing that.
I have a bank account set up with Jimmy's financial institution. I just take deposits out of that. Right.
Nate, man, what's good, Nate?
Man, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, welcome to the family barbecue, y'all. Nate is in the building,
Yes,
and the
sir.
reason I'm kind of putting Nate on spot right now because this is something that he wanted to talk about, and obviously he has some type of story, or he has a situation that he has that he wants to speak on. So Nate, the floor is yours, my
Hey,
brother.
before you start, Nate, you don't got no beef with me, right?
As long as you gave him his money back, you all right?
Right. I kind of feel like Drip, like my money. Is
Oh
my money.
man,
It's
I can
hard to
tell.
know, you know,
I can tell.
I work hard for my money, so when I loan out my money, it's pretty much you're good until I hear I'll pay you back. Like, when I gave you my money, I wasn't looking for it, but as soon as you said I'll pay you back, if you don't, you're a liar in
And
my book.
Nate, when they say I'll pay you back, I gotta hold you to that.
Yeah, I gotta hold you to that. You gotta be a man of your word.
Yeah, I gotta hold you to that. I understand that, Nate. Now, if you don't say I'll pay you back, Nate, is it fair game?
Yeah, but you're not gonna get as much.
But that's part of the
Nate-
uncomfortableness of
To
that's
Nate-
part of the uncomfortableness of asking for money. Sometimes they be like, because sometimes they have intentions, but
Right.
they just like, man, I'll pay you back, knowing that then you have to borrow in the first place. How you gonna pay something back?
Exactly,
You have to borrow in the
exactly.
first place.
Exactly.
See, so you gotta.
So to Nate's point, Nate helped me out before, and I was gonna pay him back, and then the time came up, he was like, nah, you don't gotta worry about it. I ain't finna ask you twice.
Hey, and also it's because I didn't need
Yeah.
it back. But I also knew if I come to you and I need something,
Yeah.
You already
it's
know.
gonna be reciprocated.
And
But
my boy.
like Brandon said, like it's a you gotta know who you're dealing with, and sometimes you don't know who you're dealing with until you start dealing with money.
Hey,
So-
and then you know why I stay too, Nate. So that's why.
So let me add
Yeah.
this. Let me add this. You don't have to know who you're dealing with. If you have a giving heart, you don't have to know who you're dealing with. That's why we had that whole, if you don't have it to give, then don't give it. Because what happens is if you don't have that giving heart, I just got to, I done heard enough. I done heard enough. Let me know that now. I done heard enough. Now I'm gonna start coaching.
I'm gonna push them over the edge.
Yeah. So it does something. It does something to you, you know, when you don't look at money like that. When you don't look at money like that, it just I can't explain it. That's just how I've picked it up and I've just adopted that. So again, of course, we have to approach everything with wisdom. If you only got 500 and somebody asks for 200, you know, that might be a struggle for you to get that two. It might be a struggle to get that 100. You know what I'm saying? Because you need it. So you do that. But however, if you got like 800, 900, or maybe you got I don't know what your ratio is, but if you have that, then it helps you. You know, it just does something to you. Because I'm a very giving person. I'll let you guys know if you need help. If I have it, you know, I love to help. I look for opportunities to help because that's what keeps it growing, man. I'm telling you, I can't explain it. The Bible says it, but you know, it's hard to explain. It just keeps the flow. It keeps the flow going, you know. So you just have to realize that.
Hey Nick, you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's up?
Ain't nothing. Laying in bed.
What you got to say on this, Nick?
I mean, when people ask me for money, I know I'm gonna give it out.
Now hold on. Before you start that,
Hey, go ahead, Nate. Get up, Nate. Get up, Nate.
Nick different now. Nick different. Nick one of the people. If you ask me for money, Nick gonna go to everybody and be like, "Hey, did such and such call you?" Nick needs to know how much money you done got from everybody else. Nick don't play no game.
Oh my God.
I mean,
That's smart. That's smart. He wise. Like, look, I did already know you got 600 total now, so I'm going ahead and give you this $50 that you needed because all you need was 650. So you're not gonna get 600 from me, and you already got it.
Right.
That's being smart.
Hey, I gotta head out. I'm gonna let y'all go.
All right, Patrick, man.
All right.
Have a good one, Patrick.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
man, like Nate said, you gotta act like I know who I be dealing with, and my thing is, and like Nate said, if you say you're gonna pay me my money back, I want you to have that same energy you came to me with when you asked for my money. When I come back to you and I say, "Hey, do you have my money?" and you give me an attitude, nah, that's it. Don't worry about giving me my money back, and don't worry about asking me for no more money.
You gonna still talk to him, or you gonna feel some type of way?
No, I'm gonna still talk to him, but don't ask me for no more money. If every time I come back to you and I say, "Hey, you got my money," and you give me an attitude, it's over.
So what happens when you see him and they like, man, they talking to somebody else, man, I just got this new shirt, man. You like, yeah, that was my money you bought it with. You ain't gonna say that, like, yo, you just bought that shirt.
No, I ain't gonna, especially if they're in front of somebody, I would never say nothing. I won't do that to nobody. But I'll pull them to the side, and then I'll just ask a simple question like, "Hey, what happened to that money you owed me?" If they ain't got no answer for me, I know what time it is. Let me get that shirt.
Hey, Ali said on site, run them pockets. Run them pockets. I got them pockets. No, but I understand that. I understand that aspect. You know, especially what Nate said earlier, it's a big thing. If they come and ask you for money and they say, "I'm gonna pay you back," I got to hold you to that, man.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh no, don't worry about it." If you say it out of your mouth, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you back," I want you to pay me back. Now, I'm with Adrian as well. It's a giving heart. If you come to me and you in need and you need help, I'm gonna help you out.
And I also feel like there's levels to this. Cause like you be like, "Hey Nate, you got $10? Oh, here you go, 20, here you go, 50. It's getting kind of shaky. Oh, you need 75? And I could be straight. You be like, "Oh, well, let me throw you 33 and you gonna get the rest of this money from somebody else."
Right.
I'm not gonna give you, you know what I'm saying, everything you asking for. Cause like you said, I'm not looking for this back, so I'm not gonna be checking for, you know what I'm saying, anything under $100. But once you go there, 300, 250,
that's when they start getting comfortable.
It's not getting
comfortable.
Right.
You think that's
ask y'all this.
Go ahead.
So Steve Harvey, I don't agree with a lot of stuff, and I don't agree with this either. But Steve Harvey, I guess he said when people, and they probably asked him for a whole lot of money, but he gave this advice. Whenever people ask him for money, he give them 10% of what they ask for. So what y'all think about that?
I think if you give them something, that's better than nothing. You know, it just depends on the individual. I think that's good. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all this story though. I have a mentor that I talk to from time to time, and he's a business owner. And so one time we met at a restaurant, and he was like, "I'm expecting a phone call, so just give me, cut me some slack a little bit if I get this call." So we talking, about business. He's helping me, put stuff together, and so he get this phone call, and so he's like, "This is the call I'm waiting for." So I thought he was gonna leave. He just sit there talking like, "Yeah, okay," like yeah, 475,000. Yeah, okay, all right. Until he do all this, until he get off the phone, and then he gets off the phone, and so I'm like, well, then I'm gonna ask him, like, yo, like, what was that all about? He was like, well, a friend of mine was buying a house, and I said, well, rather than letting him go to the bank, I just lent him the money and became the mortgager. Like I'm thinking $475,000. You just lending somebody to get a house.
You just got that sitting around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like how much? So my question has always been, how much do you have to have in order for you to give out whatever somebody asking for? How much more do you have to have? They're like, what's your ratio? Because what he has to. I mean, obviously, I know his situation,
but that's smart business, though.
It is, but it's still a chance. It's still a chance. So you have to have. That means you have to be sitting on something. How much? If somebody come to you for $50, how much do you have to be sitting on for you to come out your 50? You see what I'm saying? That's what ratio is that?
Yeah.
For me,
Nate, you got a ratio?
50.
Oh yeah, I most definitely do got a ratio.
Everybody does. It's internal sometimes.
And every time my bank account go up, my ratio go up with it.
Yeah,
it's how it play out.
Okay. Nick, you got a ratio?
No, I ain't got no ratio because most of the time, if somebody come to me asking for money, if I got it, I'm gonna lend it. If I got
it's $100,
If that person
100%.
asked me for $100 and I got like $150 left, I'll lend them $100.
Well, that's your ratio.
No, I'm saying I ain't got no ratio.
He said
if somebody asked me for 500.
And you know, I'm saying if you have 500 and somebody asks you for 500, that's 100%. You gonna give them the whole 500?
Yeah.
No, he probably right. He probably right.
Yeah, well,
I got a ratio. Lord knows I got a ratio.
Yeah, I know Brandon do.
Listen,
Brandon don't play no games neither.
listen. You come asking me for 100, I need about $2,000. You know what I'm saying? I need not to miss it. I need not to miss it. You know?
Right, exactly.
I need not to miss it. So I need about $2,000.
But then
dang, that's high too, man. I gotta have at least $2,000.
Gotta have at least $2,000. And we laughing about it, but I am so serious. I am so serious. I got.
But Brandon be the last person I'll call for money. I'm over here doing math to figure out how much money I can borrow from Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't know what that max is, though.
Bro, you know I'm gonna help if you need it, though.
Yeah,
bro.
I know.
You know I'm gonna help if you need it, though.
Jimmy, what's your
Let me ask y'all a question. Because this is a scenario that I've encountered in my life. What you say?
Hey, before you go, I want to hear Jimmy's ratio real quick.
And I want to hear Drips too.
My real quick, my ratio is if I got it to give and I don't got to think about it. So I guess it kind of pretty much grows with my bank account. I don't mind giving out. I don't mind helping. Like I'm big on community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Putting together a team. Hey, we could do this together. So this way everybody win and it's not just one person. Like, yeah, that's me. So.
And Drip, before you go on with your question, you got a ratio?
Yes, 0. He already said it.
Oh, he did?
No, I mean, this is what I think. I look at the bank account and I'm looking like, okay, I got 800 in the bank. Somebody come and say, can I borrow 300? So I look at it like, man, that's a PS4. So, you know, I look at things in goods like that's a PS4 right there. So, and I'm like, man, $300. And I promise you, I want to do it. But like Coach said, that's when my voice on my shoulder come up like, what that motherfucker need 300 for? You know, it's like, and then, you know, I feel bad. I'm like, maybe they really need it. And they be like, no, he probably don't need it. Probably trying to get high. I'm like, man, I just go all over like, man. So I'm like, you know what? I give it reluctantly 300. I think, man, that's like my limit though, man. Unless it's my mama. Now, if my mom, she got an unlimited, you know, bank account. She ain't got no limit, you know. Cause my mom is one of those people where if you loan it to her, I ain't never got to strike her down. I don't even think about it, you know, with her. She comes to me, there go that money I borrowed from her. And I always tell her, hey, you know, you ain't have to stress yourself out about it. I knew you would get it to me whenever you could, you know. But other people, 300. I need to know when I'm gonna see that again. And I'm like, if I'm gonna see that, and I'm a flexible guy, so I can see it in installments. I can see it. You know, we can make some type of arrangement. You know, on the 5th of every month, you're gonna give me X amount of dollars.
Hey,
you know, but
put it in your budget. Put it in your budget.
Right. I mean, dude, I even had people come to me like, I'm gonna pay you back, and they like, I'm gonna let you hold this, and I'm like, I would gladly accept that collateral. Let me get that.
Hey, because I'm like, man, everybody hates Chris.
You know, Terry Crews. But you know, people got slick though, man. Like my brothers and them, they got slick. They start asking my mama to ask for them.
Oh,
you know, like,
at that point, you can't get nothing out of me, man. You can come straight to me. You ain't got to go through no source.
No, and I tell them that. I was like, look, man, y'all make it seem like I'm Tony Two Knuckles or something. I'm going to show up and break your legs or something.
Like, I thought that's who you was when you first started off. I need my cheese. I can't have my cheese flying out like that.
No, you don't get it. What I mean like that, man, I got it to give. Trust me. I got it to give. I don't stress over money. It's a respect thing to me. That's what I look at. It's respect. If I loan you something and you say you're going to give it back, you know, give it back. Because that just shows me you respect me. Because I would do the same for you. If I borrow something from you, trust me, you ain't got to wake up and like, that money already, if you got Cash App, you wake up to it in your Cash App like, there you go, thank you. But it's like what Coach said. I've been a part of where I loaned somebody some money, and you know, they were like, "Oh man, such and such came up," and I understand situations come up. I'm like, "All right, cool, you know, don't worry, you know, you just get it back to me." And like 3 hours later, they on Facebook at the mall showing off the new Jordans that they got. I'm like, now I gotta go hunt you down.
Right.
Now I gotta do something too.
Hey, I gotta say something real quick. There's been times since you said that, Drill. Like I done let Nate hold some money. And then Nate. Well, me and Nate got a good understanding about money.
Hey, Nate, don't put Nate out there like that.
No, go ahead.
Put him out there.
But I'll let Nate hold. Like I said, we got good understanding about money. If Nate say, you know, he needs something, I get it to him, and he keep in communication about when he gonna give it back to me. But there's been times where I done gave Nate a couple of dollars, whatever, and then that following week, Nate bring home a pair of Jordans. I go to him and be like, bro, you owe me money. And he be like, yeah, I'll get you next week.
hey, you got to jump on the sale, don't you, Nate? You
right, man. These shoes flying off the shelf.
Week. Yeah.
That's enough money I owe you. I can get a lot more when I flip these shoes. So the money coming. Just hold on.
He said, just hold on.
They say, wait on me for a little bit. I'm trying to make moves out here.
Yeah, you expect him to miss the sale just to pay you back? I would have been like,
Yeah,
man, you
I
should have
did.
bought the shoes and get me back the following week.
Oh
No,
my
Drip,
goodness.
But how
you have
about this
questions for
one?
everybody?
Yeah, it was when it comes to loaning out money, how does that affect you, like with your significant other? Can you
Hey, that's
loan
a
your
good question.
significant other money and expect it back from her, and vice versa? Because I've been in relationships where I say, "Hey, let me get about $50," and they say, "Here you go," and then like 3 days later, where that 50 at? Oh my bad, here you go. And then I loan them money. I'm like, here go 100 or something. And then 3 days later, I'm like, hey, what 100? Well, I'm your woman. You shouldn't expect it back from me. I'm like, but wait a minute. You know, like, so like, wait a
So
minute. So
to
how
answer that question,
do y'all consider if you gave your woman money, or if she comes to you and say, can I borrow? Do you actually consider that as loaning her money?
Hey, Johnny ain't
so
nothing to play with. I ain't messing with Johnny no more, dog.
listen,
I
I'm gonna
told
answer that
I ain't
question.
so quiet. I've told you, man. I got demons, man. You know.
So I'm gonna answer that question, Drill. So me and Sam, we share accounts, so everything we share everything. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no borrowing money, it ain't no doing this. Now, if someone's gonna go buy something, we let each other know, hey, I'm finna go buy this. We're like, all right, all right, all right. But in my situation, even though we share money, and I think she commented on it earlier, even though we share money, I still make sure she's straight, if that make any sense. So if I get paid and I know I'm putting money in savings accounts or I'm putting money in bill accounts and this, that, and another, I'll come back to her and be like, hey, you need some money? You know what I'm saying? Because I know you got paid last week. You need some money. You need to do anything? This and that. 9 times out of 10, she tell me no. But I just make sure she's straight. So there's no borrowing money or doing nothing of that nature because we share accounts. And we did that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? We did that on purpose. We saved together on purpose. So in my situation, we don't borrow money. Like if I gave her $20 to go do whatever, like I'm not gonna ask her a few days later, hey, where my $20 at? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But and that's vice versa. If she give me money, which I hardly ever ask her for money, if she give me money, she ain't gonna be like, hey, where my $20 at? You know what I'm saying? So I'm in a different situation where we're sharing accounts. So no, we don't do the borrowing thing. If you need it, it's already in there. Go get it. Oh,
Yeah,
she
I
trying to be
went.
funny. She say she
I,
don't got access to the savings. That's because we need to buy a house. That's why you ain't got no access to the savings.
Uh-oh.
yeah, but I mean, I'm on the same thing with Brandon. Me and T, we share accounts. But the thing is, like, every time I get like a fat paycheck, for some reason, I'm talking about she already got money. Talking about, can I get some money? I say, for what? But yeah, whenever, like I said, we share accounts. She got her own account and I got my own, but they link together so we can transfer money in between each other. And whenever she do need money, she do ask for it, and I'm just like, just transfer the money into your account. But me, whenever I need money, I don't ask. I just take. I got a card account. I just swipe it. If I need gas, I need gas.
Yeah. So
But
I
yeah,
will tell you with us, we got a joint account too. And then of course I have a business, so I have a business account that she don't have any access to the business account. And I make sure that it's a constant flow going into our joint account so that whenever we need to pay bills, you just go from there. Periodically I might mention, what's in the business account if it comes up in conversation, but I use the business account as a personal account from time to time as well. So, but I always make sure that there's money in our joint account. And then of course she has her own dance studio. So she has money that comes in that she puts in there. And whenever she needs to transfer, she just transfer over. So, it's a system that's been, that we've been using is working out for us as well. But I know from time to time she do be asking, be like, well, you get this out of your business account. I don't know how much you got in your business account. So I'd be like, and sometimes I just tell her, but it's not, she don't have access to it. I don't, because again, it's just a business. I usually keep the business a little separate.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And let me straighten something up real quick because I said earlier, Sam ain't on the savings account.
Why you feel
Sam-
like you gotta? Why you feel like you gotta do that?
No,
Because she
no.
chimed in. She chimed in.
But listen,
Oh.
listen, that was by her choice. That was by her choice. That wasn't Brandon saying, no, you don't need to be on the savings account. No, she said, Dave, I don't want to be on the savings account because I don't want to spend money.
Oh, so pretty much you're explaining this because you don't want people to think you're a dictator.
Exactly.
Jimmy, why you starting stuff? Why you starting stuff? Why you doing that, Jimmy? But yes, I'm not a dictator. I am trying to prove that I'm not a dictator. So,
Hey,
yeah.
tell everybody who listen that you grown. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'm grown. I'm grown, y'all.
All right now.
I'm
Hey,
grown.
she said she ain't taking. Oh, what she say? Oh, she just talking. But however, that is, when you have a project or something that you're working on, is you have to, because and I'll be honest, sometimes I had to do that too, because my wife is the opposite. I spend money and she like to save it all, and I don't mind spending it, boy, or give it away. That's
Yeah, give it
that's
away.
one of my things. I give it away in a minute, like. So.
I see Adrian. Adrian, did you have that $100 check your homie gave you? No, I gave that to the homeless dude down the street.
Gave it to the homeless dude down the street. He was like, what the?
Hey, you remember Everybody Hates Chris?
Yeah.
What's the name of the little dude across the street?
Little dude across the street. Little dude. I gave it to the little dude across the street. He said he needed some new shoes. So I gave him the $100. I ain't need it. That's what Adrian say. I ain't need it.
Yeah, we straight, man.
Yeah, we straight over here. But hey man, that was good. That was a good topic. Nate been trying to get us to talk about this for the longest.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we talked about it, man. We got about 15 more minutes. We're gonna do a quick open forum real quick. And I really want to do this because I want to hear what.
But listen though. But before we do that, let me say one more thing about the whole giving thing, because it keeps the reason you don't the reason you want to try not to keep account on these things is because it stirs up a negative kind of stressful emotion inside of you when you have to feel like you're running after somebody, and that's not conducive to your body and your mind and stuff like that. So it's always better to be able to give freely and not keep a record. So if you don't trust a person, you shouldn't give it to them, because again, it's all going to be a reflection of you and your emotions and your stress level and stuff like that. So it's better to have it free flowing, so that you don't have that stress following you. Like, man, this dude owed me money. He just bought some shoes, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's negative in you. He happy. He got some Jordans, but you upset because he owe you money. So you should be just as happy as him. You see what I'm saying? In your life, like I'm not gonna suffer because you spent the money. Forget that.
Hey, everything you saying is right, but Nate's face is telling you that ain't how he.
I know. I'm looking dead at him. I looking dead at him and Drip. I'm looking dead at him. Like,
yeah, you gotta look at me. I can't be happy you got Jordans on and you ain't paid me my money, man. Like, only way I can be happy if you say you bought your kids Christmas gifts, and then I'm like, oh, I don't care then. Because it's Christmas.
The money could have been for the Jordans, though.
But see, remember stress.
Yeah, if I ask you for money, don't worry about what I'm spending this money on. Give it to me, and then when you see these Jordans, like, oh, you owe me money. Yeah, this is what I needed your money for. I didn't want to spend my own money, so I needed to spend yours. And now I'm gonna get you next week. When I got
This is like kind of, I know we got to go, but real quick, this is a conversation Nick and I had back at Tropicana years ago. We went back and forth for days. So long story short, we're talking about if you know how much money you got, whether you win the lottery or you just got money, and would you give out? Matter of fact, we'll make this a topic. This will be another topic. You can continue with your open forum, because this is going to be a long conversation for everybody.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
Well, listen, Jimmy, you make sure you mention that to us on Monday, and so we can.
It's in the calendar.
My man. But I wanted to do a quick open forum real quick before we get out, and I wanted to ask you guys, and I kind of want to see Chef Jimbo and Jim and Jip Drip go at it a little bit. What y'all think about these celebrities boxing, these real boxers, and is it hurting the sport of boxing? I'm kind of going for. I'm leaning towards the Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul fight. So, and I want to start with Jimmy. Is it hurting boxing that these YouTubers and these athletes are just going into the sport? You know what I'm saying? And I know certain people, they do this. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing it for years. But to me, it's kind of ironic. A lot of these celebrities and YouTubers trying to get into the sport, and it boggles my mind. Is the sport being hurt by this, or is it good for the sport? And I want to start with Jimmy.
I love boxing. I love the science of boxing.
Right.
And I'm really ticked off with Floyd, and I get it. He getting his bag, and just like Patrick said earlier in the interview, this man said I legally robbed the bank. Right. But I didn't watch. I wanted to see Chad fight. I wanted to see Jarrett Hurd fight. Jarrett Hurd, I heard he did bad, but I can't support Floyd on this. I didn't watch not 1 second of any of those fights. I'm not with it. I don't like it. I think it's bad for business.
I got you.
So I really don't have much to say about it. So
your answer to the question that it is hurting boxing, or is it not hurting boxing?
I think it's hurting it because it's simple fact. I just feel like he's making everything that Floyd is doing is only benefiting Floyd. It's not benefiting boxing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, in a whole. So yeah, it's hurting.
Gotcha. Drip, man, what you think, man? Is it hurting boxing, or is it helping boxing?
Well, I'm with Jimmy. It's hurting boxing, you know, because I'm not saying Floyd because he retired. You know, when you retire, do whatever you want in retirement.
True.
But like with the Chad Johnson thing, that's like, I don't know. I'm like, what made you? Who put that in your head? You can step in the ring.
He said,
and and go against a fighter. You know, if you look at, because I saw that too, and I'm like, okay, he doing a little something, and then he caught that right, and then smack hit the ground and slid. I was like, oh. Maybe now you'll wake up and like leave that alone, because
I heard he looked good though, Mr. Telly.
He looked decent. Yeah, he looked decent, but somewhere along the line, somebody got to tell these folks, because they telling them, you such a great athlete, and for some odd reason they equate that being a great athlete, they can box. You play football, you play basketball. You play soccer, you play baseball, but you don't play boxing. You can't play boxing, so
right. You can't play boxing.
It's gonna hurt the sport because people ain't gonna tune in. It's like $40 for the Floyd Mayweather thing, $39.99, $49.99, $50, and people paid that, and then people upset. I'm like, but you paid. You the fool, right. What it is. It's for a show. This ain't real boxing. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It's hurting the sport because you're getting, like you said, all these celebrities. Now, if there was, say, a celebrity who actually was, in it, like this dude been training for 6 months, 7 year or something, and he started off in the WBA, WBC, IBF, and he trying to work his way up, cool. But this is straight, like you said, Logan Paul, YouTuber, Floyd Mayweather, undefeated. It's like, all right, man, come on now. We you know what to expect, but but what was Mike Tyson was doing, the Roy Jones Mike Tyson thing, that's boxing.
Used to have boxers versus boxers.
Yeah, boxer versus boxer. That was interesting because now I wonder how this gonna look. Well, I already knew Tyson was like, Tyson gonna beat him. But, and then I kind of got turned off when they said, no knockouts. And I'm like, what I'm watching for? I want to see somebody kiss the canvas, and I'm like, I want to see somebody sleep.
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's hurting, man. And I know you guys are not boxing enthusiasts like me and Jimmy,
Well,
but
we're
you
not
know,
boxing
but
enthusiasts, but we all take part in it.
I
And
don't.
well, some of us
Okay.
we all take part of it. I just put up a comment. It's making new people watch, but it hurts in the long run fans of boxing.
Hey, real
My,
quick, I left Adrian's house that night. Floyd was fighting, and Adrian was thinking about buying it because I guess his daughter said something. And he was like, "Are you watching it?" I'm like, "No, I ain't watching that crap." He was like, "Well, that's all I need to know. I ain't buying it." He said, "If you ain't watching it, I don't want to watch it."
Hey, but something my uncle put on, our uncle put up. Because we got to get you on the show, man. We got to get you on the show. I'm gonna get in contact with you.
That's Big Line right there.
That's Big Line. That's
Big Line. We got to get you on the show.
We got to
brother.
get you on the show so we can talk on some boxing, man. But just looking at what he put up, nothing stays the same. Everything is going to evolve. There's nothing in the sport of boxing, so there's room now for other avenues. It's like a double-edged sword. At the end of the day, it's about entertainment. Boxing will never be the same.
But see, I will only see. We're gonna do a boxing podcast, but I would love to speak to him because I think that there are some things in boxing, but I think the people that watch boxing, they aren't true boxing fans like they used to be. Because people like Earl Spence Jr., he's a breath of fresh air for boxing. You know what I'm saying? People like the Charlo brothers, they actually are boxers. The people like Canelo, even though I got my whatever about him, he ticks me off too. But it's a select few of people in boxing that's good for the business of boxing, but they can't get they aren't known worldwide like Floyd and Pacquiao was, you know.
Right. And I think he agreeing with you here too, Jimmy. I think Big Line agreeing with you here. But Big Line, we're gonna get you on the show, brother. Me and Jimmy and the fellas, we've already talking about it before the show that we're gonna start some new avenues here, and we're gonna get you on the show and get your perspective on this boxing, man. And I honestly, like Nate said, like Drip said, a lot of us ain't enthused in it, but with me, I like sports in general. It's a sport to me, so it makes me want to learn. You know what I'm saying? And we also got to get Coach LB on here. He's huge on boxing as well. We had a podcast earlier in the season with Coach LB, so we can get those fellas on here just to talk some boxing. That'd be great.
So I don't think it hurt the sport at all, one bit. Because if you think about it, people, like you said, it's entertainment. When we look at celebrity basketball games, we don't be like, oh, this is hurting the sport of basketball. Justin Timberlake hitting threes or Master P trying to cross somebody over. No, it's just interesting to see. So when you have these celebrities or these people that want to step in the ring and try something different to see how they do, the only thing that's hurting is when they don't get knocked out. That's the thing, is because people want to see somebody get knocked out. That's why they're watching. They want to see how well or how bad they're gonna do. You know, everybody looks tragic. But I don't think it's hurt. I don't think it's gonna hurt the sport at all. Long as it's managed correctly, it's not. You know, it ain't like they're making it a main event. If it's like a side attraction or something like that, then you know it'll always add up. The good fighters are always going to be paired with the good fighters, and they're always going to give you the better show. But obviously, it's the way you tell if something is hurting a sport or not is if it's making money, and if it's bringing in the money, then it can't be hurting the sport that much.
I would comment on this, but I ain't in the boxing like that. Like back in the day, I used to do the boxing thing, but nowadays, yeah, I ain't got much to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not into it as much either, but I just, you know, it's interesting. That would make it interesting. That would make me want to watch it. Oh, we got these two people because you know, boxing now it's like Jimmy said, it's a science. You have Mayweather. To me, he's the greatest, one of the greatest, but he was boring to me because he was so technical. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to sit there and watch people with these technical fights back and forth. 12
I love
rounds.
watching
Like,
Mayweather fight. It's amazing.
yeah, it's just like but it's boring to me because it ain't gonna be too many licks in, or the bam, 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 bam,
Wait,
and then they covering
wait a
up
minute.
and
Then you
Hey,
need
but
to watch
you gotta go
UFC.
and watch. Yeah.
UFC is too. I tried to watch UFC. I watched it when Kimbo Slice was getting beat. See, that's how it's always interesting when you have these special people go in there and try something new.
Hey, nah, but real talk
Tell
though,
me y'all
if
ain't
you-
watch Kimbo try to UFC fight.
Coach, hey, if you go back, if you like that, go back and watch Floyd when he first started boxing. This dude was knocking people out left and right. When he was
but
at
I
his
wanna-
proper
Yeah.
weight, 130, knocking people out left and right. It was crazy. That dude was a beast.
I mean, obviously, but still, he evolved into this technical fighter, which is nothing wrong with it. It's a sport. The object is to get more punches and to win the round. That's it. So, but when you
get hit,
and not get hit. So when you have other people that want to try their luck in the sport, I mean, they can. It's just like I said, it's just like the celebrity basketball games and all this other stuff that they're doing. It's probably going to evolve into even more stuff. You'll see, and it'll be interesting.
And
It'll be more interesting.
we'll all be watching it anyway.
We'll be watching the clips because if you don't make money off of the pay-per-view, you're gonna make money off the YouTube clip. So either way it goes, it's gonna make some money. And that's where we at. We all at the clip and highlight central. We can just watch the highlights and
Yeah.
people still get paid off the highlights.
Right.
But July
Yeah.
24th, will y'all be tuning in to see Tyson Fury mop the floor with Wilder?
Oh my God, he trying to get Jimmy started. I
You
think
know, Jimmy.
Jimmy on the phone.
Jimmy on the phone. But
I quit watching UFC when the what's his name, the Spider-Man. I quit watching him way back with him. I just lost interest.
I gotta
what
go
was
get
his
something.
what was his name?
Anderson Silva.
Yes,
wrap up,
Anderson
Jimmy.
Silva.
Yeah, we finna wrap up. What you said? July 24th. I think
July 24th.
like Jimmy said, we're gonna have a boxing podcast, and I'm sure we're gonna elaborate on that. But
Ain't that UFC?
anybody got anything final? We look like we running up the time here real quick. Anybody got anything final they want to hit? Ali say you want to see how Wilder responds. Ali, we're gonna have a boxing podcast. You're more than welcome to come on and show your face and elaborate. Because when we talk about Fury and Wilder, Jimmy and Drip get a little excited.
Yes, they do.
They get a little excited. But any final thoughts from anybody today?
If I owe you money, you ain't gotta come looking for me because I'm bringing it back to you. I don't want no problems.
You don't want them troubles.
Coach,
Not at all.
any final thoughts? You want to coach us on something before we roll out?
Yes, always make sure you have a plan to bring your life back to peace, even when somebody owe you money.
Oh my God!
Hey, but Coach A be making me
Because
laugh.
the stress is real. You would be laying in the hospital bed, stressed out. What? He owe me money. Calm down, sir. Your blood pressure is too high, but he owe me money. I need that. Calm down. Just calm down, sir. You might have to collect it in the afterlife. Just calm down.
Collected
you
in the
still there?
afterlife.
Yeah, I'm here.
You got any final thoughts, bro?
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
And comment.
And comment.
Hey, I want to thank all the people that was in the comment section today.
Yes, sir.
Big Lion. We got Ali. Sam came through today. If I'm missing people, I'm sorry. I do apologize if I'm missing anybody. We had Megan Real Talk Harper hit us up today. And I think that's it. But this is Family Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Again, like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate all the love y'all show us. And that's it, man. If y'all ain't got enough, Jimmy had to walk away, so we'll say goodbye for Jimmy. But y'all have a wonderful Saturday.
Yes, sir.
I love you,
Yes,
fellas.
sir.
And We'll see y'all next week, man.
All right.
There's Nick.
They wasn't worried about me last year. When the cashier sent me to my car when I came short, now I
It's
got
Johnny.
the game torn. They either hate it or love it. Slim chances on advances, I just balance the budget. Fuck it, free my niggas on my Harriet Tubman. They said I'd never be the greatest, that's a scary assumption. But now I'm buzzing like the last shot. Got these lame tired old niggas about to pass out.